Let's do it. So hello everyone, and welcome back to the knee-slapping K-pop podcast. Round 2 of this episode, because I fucked up, but it's alright. I am Maria.
This is our re-recording of this episode.
Yeah, so
our first
if the banter isn't
ever.
as good, that's why.
Yeah, because I fucked up. And I will admit, I am the EJ of the situation. You'll get that later.
You'll get that later.
And I am Maria, and I am here with the lovely Kayla.
Hello.
And the lovely Sammy.
Hello.
And girl, all I'm gonna say is this. We are gonna now finally do tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You make me feel like 11. Tier 7 of the Iceberg. And yes, I've grown to like Ive. I know Kayla and Sammy don't care. It's cool. Love Dive's a bop. Korea loves it. Fantastic. We're now on to tier 7. And it'll be an interesting tier.
We're more neutral on Ive. And it's our first re-recording, so now I just don't know how to redo conversations we've already had.
We could probably elaborate on what we already stated, but we'll probably be more concise.
Maria said she wanted to introduce this tier and gave no indication of why, other than I have a surprise. and then I don't think it's problematic.
And then we were very confused as to why she had to clarify that it wasn't problematic. And, the first time it happened, bigger reaction.
I think I have a habit of putting my foot in my... figuratively putting my foot up my ass sometimes when I say things, so... But not as badly as some of the people on this list. That's all I'm gonna say.
Surprisingly, that is a very common trait in terms of this tier.
Fair. Honestly, fair. Fair point.
God.
Fair points all around.
So the thing, since this is a re-recording, we are probably also going to go way faster through this than we do usually and have way less banter.
Yep.
Because we've already
gone off on tangents, and so we are now no longer going to do that.
If you need to blame anyone, blame me, because we literally had such a good re-recording, and I fucked it up because I fucked
honestly, it's honestly
episode.
Pretty good on us that this has never happened before, and we're
it hasn't.
Over 2 years into the podcast.
Yeah. Alright, so, let us begin with the Infinite Block B B1A4 sexual harassment at SNL Korea scandal. So, this occurred in 2016, and what happened was that a video was released that showed, with a brief introductions with one of the staff members of SNL Korea saying that B1A4 was able to finally host the show since member Jin Young completed his latest drama, and then the video takes a turn in which the staff formally introduces B1A4 as the host, and in the clip, the female staff member proceeds to touch B1A4 members in the genital area and run away. The B1A4 members are completely shocked, and they stare at the rest of the staff, who seemed unfazed by the incident as if it's a normal Tuesday. Wonderful.
Love that. Surprise
sexual
assault.
So, as the controversy grows, the SNL Korea production team ends up deleting the video, offering an official apology to B1A4 and their fans for the extreme behavior. The production crew stated, "We will make note and prevent this kind of inappropriate behavior toward the hosts. We will like to sincerely apologize to B1A4 and their fans once more." Meanwhile, another clip from the show showing a similar treatment of Infinite members was uploaded, and fans took to Twitter with the hashtag SNL sexual harassment to express their shock and anger toward the behavior. While it was previously reported that she would not be departing the show, comedian Lee Soo-young, who was sort of the comedian then in the midst of all of this as the perpetrator of many of these assaults, would reported to be leaving SNL Korea in light of the sexual assault controversy. Meanwhile, the Mapo police received a case against her and the show on November 30th. The initial investigation was underway. They hadn't decided yet whether they were going to bring her in for questioning, and the investigation was a criminal case. So then the police talked to the members of B1A4 Infinite and Block B. Block B had a similar situation occur to them, and all the members stated that she did not physically touch them, and that there was no inappropriate conduct ever took place. Because the artists decided not to press any charges, the police did not personally investigate her or bring her in for questioning. The case was officially dropped and she was cleared of all charges. However, the next year SNL Korea would proceed to get cancelled, and then it recently came back in 2021 on a different network.
I mean,
sexual assault is wrong. I think that's
no matter what gender, sexual assault.
No matter what gender.
Yeah, no matter what. I mean, yeah, and it shouldn't be you and stuff like this. If you are gonna make a joke out of it, it should be talked amongst against all parties of people participating in the joke, not just, oh, we're just gonna throw this upon you, and just, fondle your body parts and on TV without you knowing, without your consent, And I mean, a lot can also be said about male sexualization of male idols amongst K-pop fans as well, but that's a whole other video topic story that we could definitely get into.
We could do an episode.
But yeah, I mean, I'm going to believe that
assault and harassment against males is definitely not taken as serious, because this would never happen to female idols. There's absolutely no way someone would do that and think it's just a joke and it's fine. But with male idols, because there's a weird, for some reason, people find it a weird gray area.
Mm-hmm.
That we're just let's just blatantly sexually assault these people, but because they're men, it's not taken seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
That aspect of male idoldom can continuously go on to the larger issue with fans. For example, all I want to say on it is that generally speaking, you look at a K-pop girl group, we have, because of situations of especially third gen sexy girl groups and what those members have said about it post that occurring, people are very sensitive to when making sure the girls are comfortable, making sure all of that. Yes. When a male idol uses those same tactics, that decorum is out the window, and very interesting things are stated and said about them, about their bodies, about everything. And that turn to a female idol would not occur.
Exactly.
That's all. That's the basis of that issue.
It's I also think those three boy groups probably didn't want to go through the entire process of being an official criminal, being investigated for an official criminal case at that point. And there's probably some type of weird social stigma that would surround them having been sexually harassed officially. So it's there's a whole extra weird layer on top of it because of that as well.
Yeah, and I can imagine not wanting, because if this goes to a criminal case, this is gonna be the next months of your life.
Exactly, and you don't want to waste the money on that. Well, some people don't, and it's especially when they're weighing out the options of is this really worth it to go through when I could be doing other things.
I'm not saying that they should or should not have all of that as everyone's own personal decision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, especially as a man, I can see that being something that, what is the... Not that it's right what would have happened, but could you imagine the fallout of that coming out, that this woman is now on trial for the sexual assault of these male K-pop idols? The comments would have been insufferable.
Oh yeah.
And truly awful.
Yeah, it would have been probably a shitty situation all around.
Yes,
if it was
and I don't blame them for not... do I think that there should have been some consequences?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, but do I not blame any of these people at all for not wanting to have to think about this situation ever again? Yes, not at all. That's entirely their right.
Because there's also a whole other aspect of that where it's so many sexual assault cases just are not reported because the amount of effort and time that has to go into officially reporting those and going through the whole legal process is just more than people want to deal with. That they just forget about it and would rather just not do anything and pretend it's fine than to go through all of that issue with it. And that's a completely separate problem with it as well.
Exactly.
And the other thing with that is that this happened... The only reason we know about this is because they were dumb enough to put a sexual assault on camera.
They were dumb enough to film that
shit. Themselves filmed it and put it on the internet.
And then, of course, the group's denied it happened, too. And it's it's on camera, guys.
And I'm
it was aired. I know, it's but at that point, I'm I know what you're trying to say, officially, through legal means, but it's
yes.
It's not we don't have recording of this. It's right there.
This was literally the promotion for the show. This was the trailer. This was the announcement of guests. This was what people were supposed to get excited about. And we just saw sexual assault.
Yeah. Fantastic. Great decisions being made by everyone.
So, to move on to our next scandal, we have what we called the Block B Typhoon. So, if you remember, we talked on a earlier tier about the NCT earthquake scandal, and this is kind of a very similar event that occurred, although probably more serious, and also like many years before the NCT one happened. So, in 2012, Block B visited Thailand while they were still a rookie group and sat down for an interview with RYT9. The interview began with the members still getting settled in. The interview with one member even sprawling himself across the coffee table. One part of this interview that was kind of a part of the controversy was how just generally rude Block B was to the interviewer while they were doing this interview, while being still a very rookie group as well. But that's kind of the, like, I guess less offensive part that got really, that is most of the controversy. So the main part of this was the group's commentary on the recent flooding in Thailand. The interview brought up the crisis, to which Zico replied, "I know that many people have it hard due to the flood. With this monetary aid, we hope that you will feel better. The only thing we have is money." To this, another member chimed in asking how much money Zico had, to which the leader answered about 7,000 won, which is roughly $6, and then other members laughed again. So after that interview aired, it received a lot of attention, so much so that Nikun, Junho, and Chansung of 2PM took to Twitter to comment on this matter. Nikun is the most prominent Thai idol at this time. The only other Thai idol is Mint of Tiny G, and Tiny G really isn't that big of a group. Nikun is really the only Thai idol with, like, massive success and, like, sort of, like, I don't know, a little bit more of, like, it's a word I'm looking for here. I don't know.
Clout, attention,
I guess, like, responsible. He probably feels responsible as, like, the most prominent Thai idol.
True.
So he tweeted, "As a Thai, I'm offended by those who talk about the flooding in Thailand without thinking. If you come to Thailand, rather than acting without thinking, please respect this country and only behave with proper attitude." So in response to Nikun, Tiger JK then tweeted, "Not everybody like that, bro. Keep speaking the truth, though. Hashtag prayers."
I can't help it every time I hear that.
Every time I see it,
Every time I see it, I laugh. It's
so
amazing.
Tiger JK, the grandfather of Korean hip-hop, ladies and gentlemen. He's
And
just...
also
it's incredibly on brand for him.
It is
But,
his
like,
vibe. He's very much a
incredibly
peace, love, and
2012.
happiness, let's be chill vibe.
Just that's the
you know?
hashtag prayers. at the end.
Hashtag prayers.
Takes me
And the
up.
use of the word bro
Yeah,
in this
not
context.
everybody like that,
Like
bro.
that, bro.
It's
Speak
such
the
an
truth.
early
truth.
2010s, like, Twitter lingo, too. Just the
I
hashtag
know.
everything and just, oh my god.
It just gets me every time. That tweet.
Tiger JK is
Because,
a great
he's not-
representative
he's-
for
it's-
Korean hip-hop.
It reminds me of, like, the phrase, like, he's got the spirit, but he's a little confused.
Yep.
Honestly, you know, honestly, I think
I
that's
agree.
pretty accurate for
I
him.
like it. I especially like it as a direct response to Nikun's, like, very well-written tweet as well.
Yeah.
So after that, Junho of 2PM retweeted Nikun's original tweet and then added, "I won't say who, but those behaviors and attitudes make me ashamed as a fellow Korean. I wish they would learn that one bad action doesn't just affect them, but also creates a dirty mess for those around them. I say this as a person and as a sunbae." Chansung then tweeted, "Even if carelessness can seem inevitable, even if you're trying your best to avoid it, if you're absent-minded and hurt others, then act like you're the best. That's being careless. This is more than a mistake and proves that you're just that kind of person. Shame on you." So
Oof.
after all that, on Block B's official fan cafe page, each member posted a personal apology, pleading at length as how they were ashamed they were of their actions. And to display his apology more physically, Zico took the responsibility of shaving his head.
A big,
And in,
I
like,
think
Asian
a big
cultures, that's
yeah.
like a big, that's like a
Asian
big
culture.
action of apology.
Yeah,
is
an
shaving your
apology.
head.
And the only other
Yeah.
other famous, I think, version of this would be, I think that one time it's spread on like CNN or wherever, where a Japanese idol did that because she was dating like someone and she wasn't allowed to.
Which is
so,
like
yeah.
wild.
That's
Yeah,
another
which is
wild
insane.
story in of itself. But
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think the Block B learned a big hard lesson in your actions have consequences no matter where you go in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
I would say that.
Definitely.
Not just that, but also I think it's one of those, like, think before you speak situations where it's like, I understand that you guys joke like this similarly, but there's a decorum overall to have.
And, like, there's
Them
one thing
being,
if you
like,
joke like this
brand new
internally with
groups,
friends,
too.
then you do it on a public platform
I mean,
like
it's
that.
still, like, that's the kind of joke you do privately.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, privately only with your group of... That's not even a joke you would do in public, like, with your friends in public. Because who knows who's overhearing you? It's a questionable
And it
joke.
really did not help that Block B was, like, brand new debuted group at that time, too, and then came onto this interview, was acting incredibly rude to begin with, which I guess that, like, I know that's, like, the image they sort of had, but it still doesn't make that okay.
No.
And I also
Logical
like
statement.
the other members of 2PM, like, coming
For
in here as
standing
well,
with him?
because, like, training with Nicoon, being in a group with Nicoon, probably realized, like, how serious of an issue that is to him and everything.
Yeah.
So I really like that on them,
Because
too.
there's also, like, we compared this to the NCT earthquake incident. The NCT earthquake incident was, like, there was an immediate cause and effect there. There was an apology. But also, there was an earthquake, and there was, like, questionable
And they had a
things there,
song
but, like,
called Earthquake,
they had an
and
earthquake.
then the 3 brain cells that they were.
The
just
3
linked
brain
in on
The
cells,
three
themselves.
singular
like,
brains.
rubbed together and made a spark of stupidity.
Right.
But, like,
Men.
there's a difference there, and then also just seemingly making... And that was just, like, a stupid joke about an earthquake.
Yeah.
This was a stupid joke about monetary aid.
Yeah.
Monetary aid to a country
people-
worse off than South Korea about, like, a
Exactly.
very serious flooding that was happening in the country.
Yeah, it's a very
so-
serious flooding where people were gonna need money. Like,
Yeah.
people lost everything.
Yeah, I
As
don't know
one
if it's the
does in a
same
flood.
flood too, but I think there was like a flood where they even made a movie about some like family that was in a hotel that got swept away and separated, and it was a
Was
whole thing.
that
I don't know if it's the same
Thailand?
flood, but I could be wrong.
I don't know if that was Thailand.
But I
like,
think it was
there's-
Thailand because I think it was.
I'm not sure.
but I don't know if it's the same
I'm
one
not
that they're
sure.
talking about. But like
Who's to
floods there are
say?
pretty serious. Like it's a big deal. Like
I
they're
mean,
bad.
they're not so much floods. It's a typhoon.
Well, yeah, typhoon. Like
we have a specific word for how bad it is. How it's a fucking massive wave
yeah, it's
of
not good.
destruction. Literally, it's insane. But honestly speaking, I think that, like, I think Block B has learned from it for obvious reasons. I think this is one of those situations where you needed
It
to
was
act
like
with
they needed
far
to get
more
humbled
tact.
like really, really fast as like a rookie
Oh,
idol
yeah.
group,
Oh,
and that
God, yeah.
definitely did that to them. So honestly, it might have been
absolutely.
for the better that happened to them.
And like the only
Fair.
other scandal that Block B has ever had as a group was when they were leaving their company for 7 seasons for legitimate
and then
reasons.
other Zico scandals
I mean,
that we'll
and
get
that-
to later.
Yeah, I mean, so I'd say they
And
definitely
it's
improved their
mainly
behavior for the better.
Zico scandals too. So
Yeah.
Zico gets in trouble a lot.
yeah,
I mean, this is also kind of mostly a Zico scandal.
this is true. Zico was the
Considering
one who made the
he's-
statement.
Yeah, considering Zico is the one, like, not that any of the other ones are blameless,
Yeah,
but, like,
but it was a thing
Zico
that
was the
Zico
one
in
physically
particular
making
said.
the statements.
Yeah.
Alright, so do we want to move on to our next
Yes.
situation?
Do you think beefs on the internet are bad? Try fighting in real person. Or, that's what they did in the early 90s, I guess, between HOT and Jackie's fans. They fist fought a lot. So, for those who aren't as aware or newer to K-pop, HOT was from SM Entertainment. They debuted in 1996. Jackie's was from DSP, and they debuted in 1997. So yeah, SM and DSP are pretty old entertainment companies, relatively speaking, for the idol industry. And they were at the time when they debuted, they were in the beginning phase of idol groups, and they were the 2 most well-known K-pop groups of the first generation, and 2 of the most popular. And of course, they had a sizable and devoted fan base. And winning the Daesun, which is the main prize at year-end awards, was often a source of contention amongst fans. both of these fandoms. And sometimes the fans of the two groups gathered, quarreled, and eventually that would surge into a fist fight right before, like, an awards presentation or some other event. And at the time, the
logical next step.
At the time, the position of fandom leader gained the same reputation as that of a true idol, and that the greatest power could only be held by individuals who had the bravery to fight other fandoms to defend their idols. And once the fandom leader started the fight, hundreds of fans were rushed in to create a melee. And on that note, we really only found, I think internationally found out about this because years later, I think it was probably most likely Jackies, one of them obviously talked about it, and they were like, well, at the time when I heard this was happening, you know, I thought, oh, look, people are defending us. But then now as I'm an adult, I'm like, wait, this is wrong. Why are people fighting each other in person, you know? But, kind of deal. So, like, yeah, I guess before the internet, people literally fist fought over the defending their idols, you know?
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. This is better represented in a show like Reply 1997, where I think this is literally a plot point at some point. But,
it is, yeah, because that is about, like, the Agent Jackie's, like, fandom war.
Situation.
That entire show.
Yeah, that whole show has that as an aspect to it. Personally, this is gang violence.
yeah, basically,
this is what gang.
teenage
This
gang
is what
violence.
gang. This is a gang.
Essentially,
Like, I'm sorry.
They have
how
colors.
is this different than a gang?
They're fighting
There's
each other
colors?
for a stupid reason. Like,
Weirdly, it's more of a reason than what gangs fight over.
I mean,
It's,
kind
like,
of,
also,
but
like,
real
incredibly,
gangs
it's,
fight
like,
over.
incredibly organized.
Yeah.
It is very organized. You got clear sides of the divide.
they have colors
There's
to brand each
colors.
other. Like, yikes!
I know. There's
It's a gang.
figureheads. There's gang leaders.
Yep.
It's a gang. This is a gang. This
It's
is
a
an
gang.
organized girl gang.
Mostly girl gang, I'd say. There might have been some
Mostly
guy
girl
fan
gang.
There probably been some guy fan girls.
I don't think the guys are fist fighting. To be honest,
Maybe not.
I
Who
feel
knows?
like it's
I
problematic
don't think they're
if the
probably
guys
fist
start
fighting
fist
a bunch of girls. Like, I
Granted,
don't
Yeah,
they
that's
might
what I'm
not.
saying. I feel like
They
it's
might not even show their
problematic.
faces in public that much. Who knows?
Yeah,
They might
I
just
don't
be
think
probably
the
like
guys
a
are
bad
fist
stigma
fighting
or
in
something
that.
about it
Yeah.
because it's like the gold.
At least for
At
men.
least-
For
at
men,
least
I don't
they
know.
can't
For
be
women,
in
they
the
were
girl
probably more
gang.
vocal, but you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they can't be in the girl gang. Here's the other thing here. Maybe it's better if we just keep it to the internet.
I'm iffy on
Just
that,
keep it in the
mainly
internet.
because of how much I hate K-pop Twitter and K-pop TikTok, and how
Look,
much I think they
K-pop
spread a lot of rumors.
Twitter.
But
well, K-pop Twitter is bad.
yeah,
Will K-pop Twitter break your nose?
hopefully not. But who knows?
Exactly. K-pop, at that point, that just becomes what this was. K-pop Twitter's not gonna break your nose.
It's like, and then people act as if, like, current day K-pop fandom has, like, spiraled out of control, and I'm like, oh, you should see the days when they were fist fighting each other in the streets. Like, it was.
I mean, I don't
It
think it's
could be
necessarily
worse.
much better, though, to be fair, because I think it mentally and a
Again,
lot of
I
rumors are
think
spread.
that
A lot of
overall-
crazy shenanigans happen on the internet.
You
but
think that wasn't
yeah.
happening then? It was both.
oh yeah, I think so. But I
It
don't
was
know. I
both.
think it's. I don't know. I don't think it's
Again-
necessarily superior. You know, I
No,
mean,
it is not
yeah.
superior, but is it, like, a little bit better to not have them fight? Like, I don't
like
think,
yeah,
again,
physical
you
fights
wanna
aren't
know the-
good, but I also don't think
You
digital
want to know
fights
the
are.
field day the Western media would have
superior.
had if it came out that, like, you know, Stray Kids fans and BTS and, like, what's another boy group? NCT fans were fighting in the streets? It would be insane.
Oh yeah.
That would literally be called a gang.
Yep.
It's literally how you get called a gang.
And then I don't know. Korea would probably be like, we gotta outlaw fan clubs. They clearly cause gang. I'm surprised they didn't do that in the '90s. Honestly,
Honestly, I don't think anybody cared.
Mm,
It was
Probably
it's
not.
it's a group of teenage girls.
yeah.
it'd probably be different
You
if they
think
were
anybody
boys
gave a
doing
shit?
It was
it.
probably, like, not as much of a disruption to society.
It probably
No,
be. It
also,
probably would have been a
these
different
girls were
response if it
also-
were boy fans doing
Yeah.
it.
There are
'Cause then I feel
definitely
like
different
they
responses
they
with
can,
boy
like,
fans.
cause more damage. It's like, I don't
Because
know if, like, a
also
bunch of
that's
girls
also I feel like
fighting
if it
each
was
other.
boy fans, someone would have gotten stabbed.
Yeah.
Because that's just the escalation a lot of guys sometimes do, where it's like, nah, we're here to fist fight, but let's bring a
But
knife.
someone's gonna bring a knife.
Turn into
Someone
like
brings
a
a
knife
knife
fighting
and then it
session
goes
in the
too
UK
far.
or something
Yeah.
like that. Like no.
Yeah, somehow that's where you get somehow you get a knife, and I'm like, what? Okay, I guess.
Spontaneous knife appears spontaneously.
Spontaneous knife fights.
Not great though. But
No,
yeah.
awful idea
Bad.
for spontaneous knife fights. All right, so shall we go on to Something I didn't realize was as sad as it was. So, this is J Park leaving 2 p.m. And so, J Park, or Park J Bum as his Korean name, I don't know how he went by in the States. I'm assuming he went by J Park in the States. Was the leader of 2 p.m. when they first debuted. And he caused a lot of controversy after some comments were found on his MySpace dating back to 2005, when he first became a trainee and first came to Korea. With comments left by J-Bum saying things like, I want to come back, I don't know shit, that's what I'm gonna go with, is what that's supposed to say.
Mm-hmm.
Korea is gay, I hate Koreans, and yeah man, Korea's whack. All these statements
The very
J-Bum made cause
2005
outrage.
statements.
2005
Teenager on the
statement.
internet 2005 statements.
Teenager on the internet
Also,
thinking this won't
teenager
cause
on the-
consequences.
Also,
for him.
American teenager on the internet calling
Yes.
everything gay
Yeah.
that
That
they
is
don't like.
it's incredibly 2005.
Yep. So this caused outrage among netizens. J Park then posted an official apology. A few days later, on September 7th, J Park announced his departure from 2 p.m. on their official fan cafe. And then JYP confirmed that it was true and that J Park would be leaving the country. He left on September 8th, flew to Seattle, where 500 fans showed up at the airport, literally kicking, screaming, and crying. All 6 remaining members are said to have cried, and Woo Young fainted and had to be hospitalized. Upon seeing his mother, who was there to meet him, J Park started crying and kept repeating how sorry he was to his mother. Then JYP the man released a statement. To the gist, it says, I have received much shock from what J-Bum wrote 4 years ago to his friend. I myself would have felt much anger, resentment, and abandonment at his words, but I have known J-Bum for so long that these words are not surprising to me. I always knew J-Bum was that kind of child. When J-Bum first came to Korea 4 years ago, he was very rebellious and out of line. He laughed at Korea and belittled his fellow trainees, even going as far as to see me as easy. I believe he thought that being a Korean celebrity was something to laugh at. He was a boy that wanted to b-boy in the streets. He fought with company employees, his dance instructors, and made threatening statements. And what made us surprised even more was that when asked whether he had the guts to succeed, he said, we could succeed if we didn't receive JYP's music. At this point, employees wondered why we were keeping such a rebellious boy. This is why his words 4 years ago are not surprising. Then why did we keep such a kid? I love rebellious children. Rather than children that are nice up front but are calculating and evil behind my back, I love children that are rebellious to my face. I loved the fact that he showed his emotions straight up. It gave me hope. Who would have the guts to utter such words to my face? To say that his failure depended on my bad music. I thought it was funny. To J-Bum, there are only 2 types of people. His family and those that are not his family. He loves his family more than I could ever know. The reason he talks about money in interviews is not to buy nice clothes, it's to pay back his family, who always works hard for him. So one day I told J-Bum, someone is not a family only because they share the same blood. Please open your heart to them first, then others can be your family too. Through these efforts, he began to change. He began to hug his fellow trainees, start conversations with company employees, and began enjoying his time on the stage. He finally began to express his energy on stage, began to shine through singing and dancing. I chose him as the team's leader. The rest of the 6 really believed in him and followed his lead. He always trained with them and always thought of his younger members before him. After his debut, he felt a change in his heart at the news reporters and attentions that showed him in a positive light and began showing affection. He was touched by the hearts of his fans, and as things began to go up, like a sad movie scene, his entry from 4 years ago was released. He was so sorry to his 2 p.m. brothers, to me, to his company employees, to his fans, and to nobody more than his Koreans. He thought of himself that if he stayed longer, his brothers would not only get more hurt. He told me he did not have the confidence to get up on stage. If I were him, I would have made the same decision, and so he left. His last email to me said, in all caps, "I've been a little punk in the past. I will let you know that it was a life-changing experience. It made me much better, much stronger person, and I'm thankful for everything you have done for me. Real talk." It's another 2009 thing to say. It's also the most J-Park statement that I've ever seen. Back to the JYP statement. "My heart is ripping, it hurts, but knowing what Koreans would feel at his words, an immense sense of betrayal, I could not say anything. But what I can do for him is tell everyone that he showed on TV was not fake. He might have been rebellious, but never fake. He never hid his true emotions. He was always upfront, straight up, and that is something that can never change. I know the public and the fans and I am listening to your opinions, but the most important thing is that J-Bum is not 2 p.m.'s Park J-Bum, but a child, a teenager J-Bum. I genuinely wish for you all to hold his decision true. I apologize once more." That is the saddest statement I've ever read.
It's when I found this statement, because I had no idea that this was such a sad departure. I cried reading the statement because he's so
upsetting.
JYP is so sincere and truly feels so bad for him about it.
Not just that, but I feel like JYP really felt like he helped this boy.
Yeah.
Right.
And honestly, I think he did.
I think he
looking
really
at
did.
the man that J Park is now.
Yeah, J Park has grown up to be a much better dude. His
here's the
career
thing.
has taken off. It's like he's done so much for the hip hop community in Korea in terms of setting up AOMG, Higher Music, and now it's more Vision, which I don't know what the outlook of that company is going to be because it's a relatively new company. But AOMG and Higher alone has introduced so many fantastic artists into the Korean music scene that I wish everyone would take the chance to check out. But he has done a lot for just hip hop in general in Korea, and just improving it more for the better.
I honestly, J Park, I think just by things that interviews he's given and everything, I think he's a pretty genuinely good person as well. Just
nice
based
man.
on the way that he runs his companies and
yeah,
sort of statements he made. He feels he's obviously changed a lot since when he was an angsty teen in South Korea. But I do think that he definitely learned a lot in his time being a trainee, and JYP had a genuine very positive influence on his life.
He has so much respect for JYP the person, I feel because I do. And honestly speaking, you can really tell that in that time, just in the 3 years from 2005 when he made the statements to 2009 when this all comes out, 4 years, this is how you make this coming out. And I do think genuinely there is a way that if JYP had put out this statement, this heart-wrenching statement from JYP the man, I think that there would have been a way to keep J Park within 2 p.m. I think that there was a way to do that. But I think overall for the long-term good, and I think that there was just a lot else going on, and I think that J
Park himself,
the Korean scene, the Korean music scene, especially the hip-hop scene, would have been so completely different had this not happened.
But what I'm saying now is that what really shows the difference in his attitude is that in those 4 years, he changed and grew as a person, which is something that we all need to encourage young people to do, which is why I think we don't need to demonize 12-year-olds for things that they do, especially when they become famous later, is that, great, this happened to him. This super traumatic thing, because he's about 17, 18 years old at this point, happens to him. He leaves, he goes to America, he goes back to Korea.
He worked at a car garage back in Seattle just to try to make money before he comes back.
But eventually he does.
Yeah.
He didn't need to. He had every reason not to. He had every reason to just try to be a musician here or try to do something else and not want to go back and be and put himself voluntarily back in this scene.
And
But
I think you can really tell just based off of
that
like
he loved that cult. Like, if he truly did hate Korea, why would he go back? And he's
you can
still there
clearly
now.
tell that how much he changed as a person just based off of how that scandal was handled. Like it's like because it was Jay Park really who really didn't want to be in the group anymore because he felt genuinely terrible about all the things he said like when he was a child, and that's why he left. And I do think that probably because this was so early in K-pop, like, and the Korean fans would have been, I think, very upset about it. I don't think JYP had a choice then to kick him out of the group. But by releasing this, like, entirely, like, heartfelt letter to him, he really wanted to leave the impression of, like, this really is not a kid who met any bad intentions. He was a teenager, and and let me tell you all of the ways that he has truly changed as a person in the process. Like, JYP felt so bad that he had to kick him out of the group. He at least wanted to let the public know, like, this is not a genuinely bad kid at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, he's grown up, and he still has continued to grown up over time.
And here's the thing. We'll get to this more in a later scandal.
Oh, yeah.
But you can really see that JYP, when in this statement, he talks about how he likes rebellious kids.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that throughout what he has, more so with his boy groups than his girl groups.
Yeah, I would say it's a boy group thing.
There's definitely a male bias, I think, in that regard.
He gets all these rebellious kids. And rebellious is an interesting word. I think it's more of, call it outspoken, maybe rebellious in a way, sure.
Something that's reminiscent of a very Americanized kind of like outspoken
but
personality.
But it doesn't even not necessarily all the American ones.
True. Not necessarily American, but definitely that vibe of being opinionated.
Like
and stuff.
Bam, I feel like
just like
opinionated
and loud
like
is really
loud.
More of a correct definition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think that you see that with a bunch of the JYP artists. And then there are points where you get someone like Jay Park who, I think JYP wants to help these kids. He sees their talent, he sees their potential, and he's like, look, if you were in, say, SM Entertainment, it would be bad for you.
Yeah, I think he also realizes that they would not last in another entertainment company.
That's true.
No. And I think that he wants to nurture them and nurture their talent and nurture them as people. Which is great. Good for him.
Yeah.
And then there's good and bad sides to that.
Yeah.
We'll get to a bad side of that
He's had varying degrees of success with that.
You get varying degrees of success. But some days, you get Jay Park. And honestly, I think he's done a lot of good in his life.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, Jay Park's still continuing to push himself. Like, he's working on trying to push a new soju line, which is hard to do in Korea, because a lot of the current soju is established.
He also has a rule that, like, anyone in his companies, like, are not allowed to smoke. Like, he's trying to put forth, like, a good example
like no smoking
his
policy?
employees, too, yeah.
Oh, good. And, I don't know how to transition into this well, but we mentioned that he got punched the other, like,
he did get punched. He got punched in the face.
He did. Because under AOMG, the Korean Zombie, that's the wrestler's nickname, you could say, was signed under AOMG at the time, because I guess they use it for promotions.
UFC fighter. I hear they don't like to be called wrestlers.
Yeah, sorry, MMA fighter.
Yeah. I hear.
But what was his face? The opponent's a
Brian
dickhead. Brian Ortega's a dickhead. He punched Jay
like
Park.
3 people.
Punched Jay Park in the face because Jay Park was a translator.
He was there. Honestly, I think it's because he was in front of him. This man seems to have, again,
undiagnosed, well, maybe not undiagnosed, but anger issues, probably.
Anger issues.
That may be kind of natural for the kind of sport he's in some regards.
But also not an excuse.
Not an excuse. Just go randomly decking, translators or people that are entourages to your opponent's party,
And then just did not apologize at all for
it. In any capacity. But yeah, while Jay Park's personal music is a mixed bag.
Yeah, it can be. I mean, he did also sign with the Rock Nation for a while, which is Jay-Z's record label, which
is where you
hit or miss with certain
learned
songs.
Where you get shit like Aquaman,
or you get something good like that EP he did with Hit Boy. I like that EP a lot, but
I think overall, if we want to look at the overall Jay Park situation, I think it was good. I think he's done good things.
And he's lifted up so many artists that I would never have known, or a lot of people would never have known and been exposed to within Korea and outside of Korea. So he helped a lot of careers in a way in that regard.
Yeah.
So,
which is good.
mm-hmm.
Yay.
Yay.
So now we go on to
Something terrible.
something
Yeah.
awful.
I don't know how else
So
to describe it
this-
besides
yeah.
terrible.
Yeah,
other than just an awful situation.
Yeah.
So this half breaks our rule of no deaths on the scandal iceberg, except that it's not a celebrity death. It's a death related to a celebrity. So this is about Lee Tuck of Super Junior's father, and it's not essentially. It is a murder-suicide that happened there. So on January 6, 2014, while Lee Tuck was still in the military, news broke out that his father, Park Young-in, and grandparents were found dead in their home. SM initially released a statement saying that the trio had died in a car accident. Also gonna just point out how bad that is immediately.
Like that's
that
why are we not
just a
releasing
blatant
statement?
lie. Just a lie.
Why are we not releasing the statement of
It should have been
we
something
are-
more
we are
along the
aware
lines
they
of
are
like
dead?
we are still
Like,
trying to
we
confirm
we are
details
awaiting
about the
we
situation.
are awaiting information.
Yeah.
Like, don't just make up a lie that is completely untrue, because how could they die in a car accident if they were found dead in their house? So
That
it's
doesn't
like,
make
I don't know.
sense.
Like,
I would
what
have
are
been
you
like,
doing
we
here?
are awaiting more details to come
there
from the
is a
situation.
difference between it is possible
Yeah.
SM probably heard, hey, the family is like
the family
I
is
am
dead.
trying to the family is dead. The police were probably like the family is dead, period. And then they were like, okay, probably car accident, let's release an
Well,
haphazard
that's the point you
statement.
should
And
have
I'm
just
like, what
assumed. You
is
should be
wrong
like,
with
we are
you?
awaiting more details.
It's either
you know?
they
Again,
assumed or
I'm
it
not
was
saying
them
it's a good
blatantly
idea.
trying to cover up what had happened, which either one is bad.
Yeah.
Either one is awful.
You should have just
Yeah.
left it more ambiguous and be like, we're waiting for more details.
Look, I don't know
You
how.
know.
I'm not trying to defend this. I'm just saying, generally speaking, that like there is no defense, and like
Yeah,
I
there
don't know what
isn't.
else to say.
Yeah.
So,
But like I'm trying to make an understanding.
Yeah.
So it was later revealed that it had been a murder-suicide, with Park strangling his parents and then hanging himself. A note left near the bodies read, "I will take my parents with me." The news reported that he had been dealing with depression for a long time and was also struggling with financial problems on top of having to take care of both of his parents, who were currently suffering from dementia. According to the police, Park had planned to admit his parents to a nursing home the next day, but had changed his mind. They concluded it is likely that he blamed himself for being unable to continue to take care of his parents. The funeral was held on January 8th with Super Junior members in attendance and Lee Tuck, who was granted emergency leave from the military.
Yeah, this is a situation where it's very upsetting overall and just kind of like messed
I mean,
up
there
because
is
you have
no-
like the aspect of dealing with someone who's having dementia or Alzheimer's like symptoms, and I've had experience with that in my own family, and it is so hard and taxing, and I've seen it. My
is
poor mom in general
emotionally
trying to deal with it. I feel bad
Yes,
because she had to deal with a lot.
My family has had that
with
as well, and the thing with all
Yeah.
of this is that there is all of this. There is no.
There's no reason to
easy way
justify
around
killing
it.
them, though.
But
You
there
could have
is-
moved them to
Yeah,
a
I'm saying
nursing
that
home.
there is zero justification.
Yeah, there's zero
for this.
justification.
Considering the fact that this man had already had in place preparations to get them help,
Exactly.
to get them the help that they needed. And then, again, I think that for like, obviously with things like a murder-suicide, you have the continual, like, no one is in the right headspace. Everyone is in a bad headspace for this.
Yeah.
And overall, I think you just have a bad situation all around for everyone involved. However, I think that at the end of the day, we have to... It's just sad. Like,
I don't
there's
envy
nothing
Etuck in
to
this
look at this.
situation because
I don't
he has
envy
to deal
any-
with
I
kind
don't-
of like, why would my dad do this? And then having kind of not a great relationship with his dad. And then trying
No,
to
there
unpack
is-
feelings of this, being like, my grandparents are now deceased, which he could have had a better relationship with, but we don't really know the extent of that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the only thing we do know about his relationship with his father comes from, I believe, only one interview that I've ever seen him speak about his father, because one, that's none of my business. That's none of anyone's business what his relationship was like with his father.
Mhm.
Also, again, do not want to speculate too much on it, just want to go based on the facts. And also, it is none of our business, the relationship between any K-pop idol and their family. That is their own business. That is not any of our business.
Mhm.
I just want to put that out there for anybody that, like, I don't care about K-pop idols' family lives. That's not for me to care about. But Lee Took had said in an interview that, like, he had a complicated relationship with his father, as many people do. Like, there is the aspect of, obviously, you love your parents, but also he has made statements that his father was, like, somewhat, I don't want to use he got physical punishment, which is the phrase that he used. I don't want to speculate about constituting anything else with that, because it's complicated.
And then you throw in, like, filial piety in Asian cultures, that adds a layer of complexity to everything. That I think that a lot of...
There's a layer of complexity to literally all of the... Like, there's so much... Like, what more can you say?
Yeah. Yeah, it's depressing, and it sucks that Lee-tuk has, you know, to deal with this in a way, because it should never have happened, and it should have gone a completely different route. It's terrible. I don't wish something like this upon anyone to deal with, or to have happen to them, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
But, I guess to somewhat move on from that, situation, onto another complicated situation in a way. Tiffany's rising sun flag incident.
I'm gonna go with, I'm gonna say one thing right now. Less complicated.
Less complicated, but, like, different implications, I guess. So Tiffany came under fire for using the Japanese flag emoji on Korea's Independence Day. And this was on the 15th in 2016, correct? Right? 2016?
Yes, I think so.
Yes. August 15th of 2016. Tiffany posted a photo of herself, Sooyeon, and Yuri in Japan at SM Town's Tokyo show. And accompanying the photo was a caption, "Babes," along with the Japanese flag emoji and the heart emoji. And although she almost certainly used the Japanese flag emoji to indicate that they were in Japan, the emoticon was bad timing, because August 15th is Korea's Independence Day, and that day celebrates Korea's independence from Japan. And while the emoji probably would not have been an issue on any other day, netizens were furious at Tiffany's choice of emoji, demanding to know if she knew what day it was, and perhaps in response to all the criticism, Tiffany edited the post so that there wouldn't be a caption at all. And some fans came to her aid to say that she posted the photo very late on the 14th of August, while others claimed to have been on the early 15th, and others contended that she probably hadn't remembered it was the 15th, actually Korean Independence Day. And the situation, however, worsened.
That really makes that much of a difference.
Really doesn't make a difference what day it was.
It's close enough to the
was not
day
just
that's
a
kind of like,
distraction.
yeah. And because
as if that would have mattered.
Yeah, the situation worsened though because of her Snapchat, because the caption "Tokyo, Japan" at the time on Snapchat, can't confirm whether this is still the case or not.
I can't speak to that. It's also not that now. Who's to say?
It uses that at the time of the caption of Tokyo, Japan on Snapchat. It used the rising sun flag motif, and that flag is a symbolization of the Japanese Empire and a very painful reminder of the cruelty of Japanese rule over Korea at the turn of the 20th century and then into World War II. And the pattern would have been a problem, even not on Korean Independence Day, but it seems like to have been more offending because she posted it on the 15th of August. Yes, she grew up in America. But at that point, she had been in Korea for however long. You'd think she'd know basically.
And she is also Korean.
Yeah.
So it's like, I can't give it as much leniency with her as I can some of the other stuff we talked about, like So On and the Nazis thing. Because, like, she should have known better at that point.
Yeah. Because she'd been in Korea for how long?
Do I think it was malicious? No, it was probably not malicious. Probably just forgot what day it was and was like a dumb mistake, but like,
I mean,
still.
she was in Japan. Who knows what the Girls' Generation schedule was like at this point. Like, she probably just like, is it the 14th, is it the 15th, is it the 16th, what day even is it? And also, if you're not, weirdly, the Japanese flag emoji is almost thing, because that's more of a deliberate choice as opposed to, like, if you're looking at the filter, who's to say that even she could have just posted it without realizing.
Yeah.
Which I can also see as being what happened.
So you easily quickly shuffle through, choose a filter, take a photo, and send it.
Yeah, she just sees, oh, it's Japan, I'm in Japan. who thinks that the Japanese, like, not the Japanese, but the Tokyo symbol would probably have something that can be associated as a hate symbol on it? Okay.
Yeah.
Who would think to look for that is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Not everyone would.
Not everybody would. Should she possibly have, knowing everything else? Maybe.
Because she's more of a celebrity and she has
Benefit of the
social
doubt.
media, I would probably pay attention more, personally. I mean, you
But
should pay
also, I
attention in
can
general, but, you know, with how much scrutiny idols get, it's kind of like, maybe
Yeah.
triple check, quadruple check before you
Yeah.
post something online. But, yeah.
But I can also see, like, it just being something overlooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I really get that.
Yeah.
And also, it could have been, frankly, the American in her, where she's like, you know, not always consciously thinking about how, you know, it's taught that
Things
the
are
Japanese.
affecting-
I think
yeah.
that is the thing, is she probably knows that it, like, of, like, the Rising Sun flag and, like, its importance, but I don't think it's at the top of her mind. Because I don't
Fair
think it's probably an issue or a symbol that she's confronted with, like, as often as, you know, if you were, like, born and raised and, like, lived in Korea longer.
Because, I mean, think
Yeah.
about a history class. What do you think they're talking about frequently in history class in Korea?
Yeah.
Especially
I mean,
of recent years. They're not talking about the same, they're not teaching the same shit about Korea and Japan in the States during that time period.
No, because
They're talking about, they're usually
my
talking
World
about
War-
European colonialism, if anything, and maybe World War One.
Right,
No,
and, like,
you know?
World War II is very well taught, but it is the other side of World
Yeah,
War
but
II.
it doesn't cover
American
it doesn't cover all of
education.
Japanese
It is not
occupation,
covered.
though.
Your- my Asian history consisted of the Chinese invented fireworks, and there were like what? It's mainly ancient China in terms of.
I literally don't think I
anything.
heard about
I
Japan
don't
in
think
World
I
War II
got
at all.
anything.
in
No.
school.
If they talked about Japan in World
Not
War
at
II,
all.
it was on the American front and what happened there.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
you
Not
know,
even that. Barely that.
we barely
I
get
know
taught
Harbor
anything
and
about
then
South
you
Asia or like Africa.
You get
Harbor,
the
atomic
bombings,
bombs. Bam.
and that's really it. I think.
You get
in
Pearl
American
And that it was
You get
bad,
the
which is
atomic
true, but there's a
bombs,
lot more to
you
it
get
than
everything.
just the bombs
Yeah.
are
You
bad.
who goes in? What high school history teacher is going into nuance? What is that? We're American. Who cares about nuance?
Well, not even then, maybe even Korea too, to be fair, because they're mostly learning to study for a major exam to get into a college.
Well,
you
yeah,
know?
they also probably don't get the more European, like, Western
Aspect
half
of it.
of World War II. Yeah, because, like, as we've seen before, like, they definitely don't have the Nazi Germany aspect of World
Clearly.
War II.
like
clearly
what
not.
you do
Taught,
with
yeah.
the
Clearly
previous
not, no.
scandal that we talked about.
Right.
It demonstrates that fully. But I am saying that possibly, maybe generally as a whole, everyone should be educated on the hate symbols around us constantly.
Honestly, this is true. Very
maybe.
true. It's a true statement.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just putting it out there.
which is funny because it kind of goes into your next topic a little bit.
It does.
Sammy.
It does.
Ironically.
It relates here.
Ironically, somehow I
continuation.
made a transition of
A
maybe
hate-
we should all be educated about hate symbols.
Which is interesting too, because like this hate symbol was literally used in a Argentinian clothing line
Yeah.
somehow.
We'll get there.
There's a whole brand for that.
And also just like an actual slur as well.
That
Maybe
too.
we
Just
should
an
be
actual
educated
slur.
on those as
I
well.
will not be saying the actual slur
Good.
if anyone is worried.
Good.
So, this is kind of two scandals, but we put them together because they are similar of just Koreans, for some reasons, understandably not understanding American culture, and for another one, just stupidly not understanding something offensive. So, in Zico's music video for Tough Cookie, the Confederate flag can be seen at 3 minutes and 35-second mark and at the 4 minute and 10-second mark. Zico wears the flag on his right arm as part of the design of his jacket. Some K-pop fans pointed out, however, it is very likely that neither Zico nor his stylist were aware of the negativity surrounding the Confederate flag, considering the fact that Americans aren't very knowledgeable about,
Not even all
they
of
don't
America
care.
really
They don't care.
wants to say that it's a hate
Admit.
symbol. So
Nope.
And even then, it's
I
not even the
honestly
proper
understand.
the type of version of this flag they claim is not even the correct version that was used during the Civil War. But I digress.
It is. It's the battle flag, but
Yeah.
also it is just stupidity and all.
This
in
is
all
also
fronts.
just like a very American specific problem as well.
Yeah.
So I get that Zico is not gonna know what that is.
Yeah, he's
it's
not
an American-specific controversy that not even Americans can agree on.
Right.
So I can understand where
honestly,
Zico
that's a
can
fair
get
point.
I can understand where Zico could look and be like, but
it's pretty obviously they got the clothes
and I'm
from
like,
a
you know what?
fashion
Fair,
designer
you
who
could
just
be
slapped it on
confused.
because they thought the flag looked
The
cool in their
Confederate
eyes,
flag,
and
yeah.
then
Also,
got it in
I don't.
glue.
It also looks like a lot
flag
of
is
just other flags. That
It
exist,
does.
like
the
state
Confederate
flags.
flag is a part of other state flags.
Yeah.
It's in other state flags. I can see where, like, Zico and his stylist could get a little confused.
Yeah.
Like, I am giving them the benefit of the doubt here.
I don't even
Where
remember
I
all the
can
state
give-
flags in the U.S. Like,
I
No,
don't know.
but
I couldn't recognize.
But I do
most
know
of the
one
state
of them
flags.
has the Confederate flag in
Yes.
it.
yes,
That's a fact.
or at least they're if not anymore, I think they're trying to get rid of
did
it.
till
But
recently,
I don't know for
or
sure.
it still does. I don't.
I
Remember.
don't know if it still does though. So
Who's to say?
yeah,
But another thing that happened in that same music video is that he was criticized for using a slur. At the 2-minute 57-second mark, Zico says, "You're such a slur for gay bitch," alarming viewers with
Jeez.
his choice of words, as the term was once used freely by numerous hip-hop artists in the past. Some have suggested it's possible that Zico picked up on the term without knowing its negative connotation. I can understand
I
that.
also
Yeah.
The
believe
hip-hop
that.
community
again,
has
hip hop
history of
as a genre
homophobia.
is not really known as a moral bastion
Progressive?
per se. And as someone who likes hip hop a lot, I can very derogatory at times, very misogynistic, very just
It's a lot.
offensive, I guess, in general. Encouragement of violence, a lot of mentioning use of glorifying drugs, like you name it, the whole gambit. It's not
It's
like the
a,
most
like-
morally
No,
genre.
it got some flaws. I can see where Zico, having possibly been a fan of many, many hip hop artists.
Oh yeah.
Also in hip hop, they do often use it. I've also seen the Confederate flag in hip hop. Really, this boy might have just gotten a lot of influences.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, Zico, I can understand this. However, does it make it right? No. Should he have been educated? Yes. Does he need to be
It wouldn't be
called out on
right
it?
for whatever the
Absolutely.
derogatory term is in Korean either.
He needs to be
Like-
told that it's bad and that he shouldn't do it.
Where I will give him some leeways, I can maybe understand where he does not know it is a slur. That it's a slur that, like, many people would just not say even when quoting another person, that it's an
Yeah.
actual slur.
Mm-hmm.
Because other countries, for people that aren't aware, all countries have slurs. Their slurs are in their own language.
Mm-hmm.
There are words you just don't say because they are slurs.
And they could be,
and
there are words in other languages that sound like, that aren't
That sound
offensive,
like
that sound
words-
like swear words.
that sound
Case in
like they
point,
are
Korea is a
offensive.
good example for that.
Yeah.
Korea
That's the
has-
word for,
Korea has
The word for
It's
my
all-
sounds similar to the N-word, but it's not the N-word.
It
It's
does,
literally
but
like,
it's not the
I,
N-word, and
me,
there's a-
blah, you know?
Yeah.
Yes. But saying that, there is definitely a very derogatory word for gay people in Korea that is probably very harmful. If he used that, I would probably be more upset.
I'd be
with
more
him.
concerned
Yeah.
about
I'd
it.
be more concerned, as opposed to using this where there is some possible cultural blinders on.
Yes.
Because again, for as much as we'll say media is influential. Zico is probably grew up listening to hip-hop, and hip-hop, especially in the early 2000s, had a
In the
real problem
90s.
with that word.
And the
90s had a
Oh, yeah.
problem with that word. They used it a lot. They used it as a slur.
Yeah. It was very much used as a slur. Still,
on slur.
well, actually, no. That people, it's not really as, they don't really say it as much in hip-hop these days, which is good, but... I mean, Zico's had history with this prior to, with Bermuda Triangle, for example. He has a line where in Korean he says something along the lines of, I have yellow skin, and then in English, but I got black soul. So it's kind of like there was that disconnect of like, realizing that, hey, buddy, you're not
Also,
getting it.
weirdly, that phrase, I feel like you can also get his influence of American culture, because I feel like it is only Western, or specifically American culture, that refers to Asians as yellow.
That's honestly, I feel
That's
like, yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
because I don't think that is culturally a thing that, like, again, I could be wrong. I'm not saying I know every other culture, but like
That
specifically
does feel
calling
American,
Asians
yeah.
yellow
It does.
seems like
yeah.
a very, at least English speaking
Right,
thing
right.
to do. Because I don't really see other, like, that's not like a stereotype. Because they're not, like, you know what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah.
Yeah. I get you.
Because I think that that's also an influence, because again, hip-hop, very derogatory to many people. He could have gotten that out of there.
Yeah, for a long time, hip-hop, the genre, just didn't care if... It just kind of offended everyone, I guess, and... I don't know. Kind of still does, I guess, but, that's a whole other discussion, I think, for a whole other...
I mean, much
day.
like, I mean, I'll give it this, especially in the old times, especially in, like, the beginning of K-hip-hop,
Mm-hmm.
I can understand where them, having heard so much American hip-hop, would not find the N-word. I'm talking now, absolutely no excuse, it's been too long, you know better. At the time, I almost want to give them more of the benefit of the doubt, because if you listen to hip-hop, it's a lot of it.
Yeah.
You hear it a lot. You almost become desensitized to it.
Mm-hmm.
I can attest to that, listening to hip-hop a lot, because I think that's why... I mean, that's a huge part of the reason why I had, like, clean versions of rap songs for a long time. It doesn't help that there's not really a lot of clean versions of music anymore, thanks to streaming. Yeah. Like, there aren't, like, clean, dedicated albums online.
No, they just...
So I feel like in some ways it's kind of harder to separate yourself from that.
Yeah.
So, but that's a whole... We can go down that road in some other time and point.
Like, what I'm saying is that, like, generally speaking, you hear it, and I can understand where, especially in the early times of K-pop, like, that can desensitize you to everything else going on, and you're like, oh, well, I hear it, like, all the time in this rap song. If it was something that bad, they shouldn't be, like, why would they be saying it?
Exactly.
And then you don't realize, obviously, cultural and
they don't have the context.
They don't have the cultural differences to it. I mean, hell, SM included it in 2 of their boy group songs. Famously. Most famously, Twinkling of Paradise with Shinhwa, and then,
they had
I think Outside Castle with HOT.
Andy or Eric says that too, which makes it a little worse, but...
Yeah, they had the Americans say it too, which is like...
We're not praying, Kayla, during Road to Kingdom.
I know.
We prayed.
I was panicked during Road to Kingdom because of that.
I was so scared for them.
And it's otherwise a really good K-pop song, I think.
Point,
even though the English lyrics are pretty cringe to that song, but
here's the thing: in the year now 2022, no excuse.
No.
You have enough time to know the backlash.
Yeah.
Like at that point, it's not even that you don't know history; it's like you don't know what happened 10 minutes ago.
Yeah,
because it keeps happening.
It happens still.
Like lip syncing. Yeah, questionable. Probably shouldn't do that anyway. But like,
lip syncing's weird territory though about that, because
that's
it's like
it's
a lot of it's like memory recall of how a song is played, and then that goes into a weird gray area.
Like, yeah, you're more in a gray area with your lip syncing.
Yeah,
with just saying it, no,
you don't have an excuse for that.
You're not You're not getting my.
Yeah, no.
You're not really getting the sympathy out of me.
Yeah, no.
We have the worst example now.
So, now, then, SM, different company, would come under fire for including graphic image of the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center in New York on September 11, 2001, as well as newspaper clippings of the bombing of Hiroshima in World War II in Red Velvet's debut music video for Happiness. Oh, wonderful,
just like great,
it just brings out all the joy and happiness just seeing 2 tragic events literally shoved into a music video.
Amazing.
That's the epitome of happiness there. Clearly.
SM Entertainment responded to the reports explaining, after questioning the director, we found that he simply used a collage source of images, and there was no intention behind it. The rep added, as SM was able to check it before, I'm actually still not clear before what, having read the statement this many times. Before what?
It was out.
It's already out. People have seen it. Before what?
I mean, again, this is the same year that they also had the deleted music video for Mr. Mister. So like clearly
Fair.
whoever was in charge of their editing
yeah,
department for music
2014
videos.
SM Entertainment was in shambles.
Falling
So
apart.
And then of
like,
course
everything's
XO members
falling apart.
leaving and something else probably
A whole
happened. I
lot's
mean,
happening. Jessica left.
The quality control in the SM music video
was
department
like
probably
shit
not top
that
of
year.
mind.
It was
Yeah,
not
SM
good.
All right, so as SM wasn't able to check it. As SM wasn't able to check it before. There we go. I don't know why. Where is it?
Just why did you not check?
Why?
it
Why did you not
before?
check? We will
Did you
remove
just
the-
let
Oh,
this creative
jeez.
director run free with the music video and just didn't even look at it? And was
Run
like, yeah,
wild,
that's what we
creative
get it.
director. Woo! Have fun. No consequence at all.
We will
whatsoever.
remove the material that caused the misunderstanding. Don't think it was a misunderstanding. Think it was just offensive.
I think it was
Yes.
just like
As soon as
war imagery
possible.
in the music.
Yeah,
make
just
sure it
straight
is-
up war imagery
we
in a song called Happiness, because that's not ironic.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We will make sure not to let this kind of thing happen in the future. Which again, we'll give them this. They have not used war imagery
They haven't done that
in
since.
any of
so-
their
good.
songs
So-
since. So you know what? Maybe.
I mean, the only time it would make sense to use war imagery if for some reason was related to the type of song you were doing, like for example, HOT released Aya back in the day, and that was kind of in response to like a fire that happened at a kindergarten where children died in. So like that
Different.
kind of using that made some
Different.
more sense,
Different.
like in that context.
Different
but
than,
like if for a
different
song
than
like
the song
Happiness, it
that
doesn't make
literally
any sense
says,
at all.
Have penis in the middle.
Yeah.
Yes.
They can't like
Yeah.
nothing about this is really giving me
Nothing
oh,
about this
yeah.
is giving me 9/11 attacks.
Nothing.
Yeah, none of this is giving 9/11. None of this is really giving
None of
Yeah,
it in
no,
that
this
music
is
video.
what we
I don't
want.
know why they thought that was
again,
a good idea.
I think that this adds to the theory that many people have that Red Velvet was so haphazardly put together after all the shit SM was going through in 2014 that they debuted them early. Because they debuted without one of their members, and it's 4 out of 5 people, so why wouldn't you just wait a year?
And the only other song they released between that time was a cover or a remake cover of SES's Be Natural. So, which wasn't
So, you
bad,
know.
but like still, it's like
It's not really necessary.
no.
For a 1-year debut group, Red Velvet did surprisingly little until they got Yeri in. And honestly, could you imagine if Ice Cream Cake was their debut?
So much better
So
reception.
much better.
So much
better.
So much better.
Better debut. That video, such a better debut video too.
Oh my
Even
God.
if you kept it identical. Better debut video. So you know what? Maybe we are getting more into the possibility of Red Velvet being debuted early. Maybe that's a conspiracy theory that really did happen.
I would put my money on it at this point, honestly.
I mean, you know, it's possible.
All right, I guess we shall transition then to our next subject, which is just Kim Hyun-jun of SES
The disaster of a
Double
man.
S 501. And it's not great, because he, I guess, sucks as a person. But I guess he's not the only one in this situation that sucks either. But this is involving four different scenarios.
Much like a lot of these scandals, it's complicated.
It's
Yeah.
complicated. It
Much
mainly involves him and an ex-girlfriend that goes through most of them, but he does have like a whole bunch of just different things happening here.
Also, like a lot of this, there's nuances, there's a lot going on, but also, I think what we've learned from this scandal iceberg is that all these scandals are what? Complicated.
Life is complicated.
Life
Yep.
is
Shocker.
complicated.
I
know.
And famous people are still human at the day, and humans will still do fucked up
Make things
sometimes.
complicated.
Anyways, so for this Hyunjun, first one is assault charges. So in August of 2014, Kim's girlfriend, identified only by her surname, Che, filed assault charges against Kim, claiming that he repeatedly beat her, causing bruises and broken ribs. Kim denied the charges, saying he had injured Che only once, and that it was an accident that occurred while he was practicing martial arts. Sure, Kim. Chae dropped
Sure.
some of the charges against Kim in September after he apologized to her. However, Kim was later fined 5 million Korean won for injuring Chae, with prosecutors in the case saying, while Kim claimed that he had no intention of hurting her, the damage from the attack was clear. This was later rescinded in 2016 when the Republic of Korea's Army and Civil Courts acquitted Kim of these charges due to evidence that came to light. Now, the paternity case. In February of 2015, a magazine reported that Kim and Chae had reunited and that Chae was pregnant. Kim stated via a press release that he had not seen Chae since she told him she was pregnant in January, and could not confirm if he was the father since he had not been in touch. The agency indicated that he would take full responsibility if he was found to be the father of the child. In December 2015, a paternity test revealed that Kim was the father of the baby that Chae had given birth to in September of that year. On to the criminal case. In May of 2015, Chae filed a lawsuit against Kim for $1.8 million for mental distress caused by her relationship with him, and claimed that his abuse had caused her to miscarry a previous pregnancy in 2014. Kim later filed and won a 100 million Korean won countersuit against Chae for defamation, with the court ruling that it was circumstantial evidence that she was not pregnant in 2014. Her lawsuit was dismissed, and she appealed the decision. Prosecutors filed criminal charges against Kim's ex-girlfriend Chae for attempted fraud and defamation in January of 2017. In February of 2018, Chae was fined 15 million Korean won for attempted fraud. And in November of 2020, the third criminal division of the Supreme Court, which in this case is Chief Justice Judge Lee Dong-won, confirmed a court trial that sentenced Chae to a fine of 5 million won on charges of attempted fraud and defamation by publication. Chae was found to have filed a civil lawsuit while knowing that her allegation that Kim had caused her damage, such as forced abortion, was false. In addition, she was also charged with falsifying evidence related to civil lawsuits, such as deleting some of the contents of certain Kakao Talk conversations, and defaming Kim's reputation, including providing reporters with false evidence. It has also been revealed recently that Kim got married, has a wife now, and I guess the wife is pregnant / has given birth to the baby.
I think she's pregnant.
You think she's pregnant?
I think she was pregnant at the wedding.
Okay.
From reports I found.
Gotcha. And then another thing in March 2017, Kim was charged with drunk driving after the police found him asleep in his car at a traffic light in Seoul. His driver's license was suspended, and he was eventually fined 2 million Korean won. Yeah.
This seems like one of those situations where there's
It's a hot mess of a person.
It's a hot mess of a person, and also it seems like one of those situations where it's your story, my story, and the truth.
Yeah.
So the truth is somewhere in the middle, and who's
because
to
he
say?
was cleared of a lot of charges, but I do also believe he was probably like at least a little bit
kind of a
abusive.
shitty person.
Yeah. Like he did punch her or whatever.
Yeah.
And he can say he was practicing martial arts, but that just seems like a
That
really
doesn't
dumb
mean
excuse.
That just seems like a cop-out, frankly.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything.
That doesn't seem like it's a good excuse.
No.
It's not. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
For context, this guy was the second male lead in Boys Over Flowers, in case you're wondering who he was. So yeah. Not as sweet as he portrayed to be in the show, I guess.
No.
Just
but
actually
also,
a hot mess.
Yeah, just a hot mess.
a hot mess.
Just a
Big
hot mess.
I mean, I the only thing I care about at this point is that his kids, if he is having a second kid or not right now, are both okay, happy. You know, hopefully he's a good dad to both of them. You know, and
I mean,
he's not really in the public eye anymore, so no one really knows what's going on with him anyway. So
yeah.
But yes.
Yeah.
All right, to close out our tier 7 of the Iceberg, we have the least important and serious scandal of the entire tier, but it's something that it just makes me very mad. as a whole.
Absolutely.
Agree.
We also can't talk about a very large portion of it in this scandal because it happened in 2022, and that's for next year's scandal wrap-up of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Get excited for February,
Get
guys.
excited,
Yep.
guys.
So this is going to be about Jay leaving Day6. Because that happened on, like, December 31st and, like, January 1st, like, 2021, 2022.
Yep.
And this is going to be about that, and also a collection of random scandals that happened pre-2022 that has all led up to this and proved how shitty of a person he has been for a very long time.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
So in December of 2021, Jay makes a post on Twitter saying he's taking a hiatus from group activities. He says, "Hello, my day. I'm sincerely grateful for all of you who have been together with Day6 and I for the past 6 years. I've been really happy and made memories that will last forever in my heart. I've had a lot of thoughts and put in a lot of work, but I am lacking in too many areas for me to stay where I am now. After discussions with the agency, I'm sorry to tell you that I have arrived at the decision to take a break from Day6 activities for now. I will cherish the memories of sweating and running together, crying, rejoicing together from the past 6 years, and return having grown. This has been Day6's Jay. Thank you." I would also like to point out that this is not the first time Jay has taken a hiatus from Day6. So this just sounds like he's going on another hiatus. Like, it doesn't sound, like, particularly out of the ordinary.
It doesn't sound
for
very
him.
permanent.
Yeah, it does not sound permanent at all because he has taken hiatuses before.
Yeah, it sounds like it's just like Jay needs some time alone.
JYP, later the same day, releases a statement. "First of all, we sincerely apologize for causing concern with the sudden news to my day who shows such support for Day6. Jay, who has been a member of Day6 until now, left the team as of December 31st, 2021, and his contract was terminated. We exchanged deep conversations with Jay for a long time, and following careful discussion, we decided to respect the artist's opinion and conclude our exclusive contract. Although our relationship with Jay has come to an end, JYP Entertainment will also cheer on Jay's future activities with a new start. We promise to continue full support and efforts for Day6 activities and ask for continuous love and support from my day." So they had to come out and be like, no, this is not just a regular hiatus. He is no longer in Day6. He is no longer in JYP Entertainment. Like, he's gone. Like, they had to put, like, some type of a permanent,
It's
like,
so
stamp
fishy
on
of him
that
to be
entire
like,
thing.
"Hi, I'm going on hiatus," and not just saying.
I
Yeah.
feel like
JYP.
he dropped that before telling JYP and without JYP's knowledge.
Clearly.
And then JYP had to come back in and do damage control, and I'm like, okay, so he said that. We didn't tell him to say that. He's just out of JYP Entertainment.
Like, he's gone.
He's
We
gone,
don't want
actually.
him here.
Like, that's like, just don't listen to whatever
come
things
back.
he's saying over there.
Ignore that
after-
weird fellow in the
Ignore
corner.
that,
Like...
whatever he just said.
Ignore the crazy man in the corner.
So
Jeez.
now, let's take a look at all of the J scandals pre-2022 that led to JYP being tired of his shit, because there's a lot of those.
Oh
So
god,
many
it's
of those.
ridiculous how much bullshit this dude has done and just like been in.
Yep.
All caused by his
Oh,
own
man.
fault.
These
by his own
are all
hubris.
literally things that he has done himself and made worse. By
Would not have
things
been a
that he's
problem
done.
had he not freaking.
It's
made
literally
shit
all
worse for
problems that
himself.
he has brought upon himself.
Yep.
So in 2018 is the first one, which is referred to as the Mcdonald's comment. In an interview with DJ Bernard Park for Monday Music Charts, Jay stated, "If a date was not worthy of an expensive meal if she was not satisfied with a $5 meal at McDonald's. When the DJ said it was a possibility the girl did not enjoy the date in general, the Day6 member commented, if that first date doesn't go well, you know she isn't worthy of the $300. I just saved you $295.
Also, my question is, what $5 meal are you getting at McDonald's? He's not even getting her.
You're
Yeah, I was
getting,
about
a
to say, what
side-
kind of
you're getting,
$5
like
meal is
6
that?
chicken nuggets at McDonald's.
Yeah, like that's like 6 chicken nuggets and that's it. No drink, no fries.
Also, I'm just gonna put it out there, most people for a first date don't want to go to fucking McDonald's. And if they
And
do,
it's
it's
like
because
this-
you're
yeah.
desperate.
And this is where, like,
He
the
is-
slight hints of misogyny are creeping
Yeah.
into Jay and just, like,
Yeah.
everything that he does. Where it's like, he definitely, and because half of his scandals involve him Twitch streaming
Making
and stuff
comments
that he said
about
on
women.
It's a
Twitch.
trend. It's
It's
a trend.
It's like he very much is the very bad stereotype of like a male Twitch streamer who is slightly misogynistic and just makes all of these comments like online and like slightly an edgelord.
He wants to
and
be
just
the edgelord
wants to
Twitch
be-
streamer
yeah.
with the fan base of K-pop fans, and it just
Yeah,
doesn't work
and
out
I'm
that
like,
way.
just to let you know, buddy, you can't have both of those things.
Can't have your cake and eat it too in this
You can't have
situation.
both of those.
Nope.
Nope. So in 2020, we get another one. So this started as a thing that wasn't really even that serious, where he was supposedly rude to fans on a Twitch stream. Essentially, he called his own fans stupid when they told him that they thought JYP, the man, when they said that he thinks he sucks and he makes bad music, and showed favoritism to other groups. And he also got mad when the fans started asking him where Stray Kids was. And I'm like, to be fair, I would be mad at both of those things too.
And that's kind of on fans a little bit, because it's like why are you being rude about his boss? And also, like, why are you asking him about a group that he's not a part of, like, that he may or may not be close to?
Yeah, at the time, he clearly had a lot of respect for JYP, like, the man, and was like, he's like, you guys don't understand how, like, much he has, like, been helpful to, like, the Korean music industry and, like, JYP Entertainment. And, like, I would also be annoyed if, like, you know, I kept getting asked about another group that you weren't in, and I was like, where are they? It's like, I get that. It then got...
K-pop fans have a habit of doing that, and it's kind of like, really, guys?
Yeah.
Really?
However,
he made this issue, like, 10 times worse than this.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Because he went onto Twitter to complain about it, and he later made... like, very directed ableist comments towards one of his fans when the fan tried to tell him that some people don't understand sarcasm through the internet and, like, through Twitter and, like, text specifically.
Which is true, especially if you're just learning the new language. You're not going to understand all this sarcasm.
And he just was, like, super weird about it, and then he made a Notes app apology afterwards.
Because, again, the tried and true method of Notes app apology.
The tried and true, like, YouTuber,
like every other famous
YouTuber,
Twitch streamer, famous celebrity, like, you name it. If it doesn't have a Notes app apology, is it even legit?
Apology, are you even famous?
Are you even legit?
If it's not at least 2 slides on the Notes app, how do I know you're sincere?
Exactly.
And, like, the truth about sarcasm is hard to convey sometimes through text, through messaging, through writing.
Exactly.
And also, certain cultures aren't really as big into using sarcasm as humor as other cultures are.
Especially when Jay is definitely pulling fans from, like, 2 separate countries where, like, the sort of culture around sarcasm and everything is, like, gonna be different in both of those two.
Not even just that, but just generally speaking, like, there are just languages where sarcasm is, like...
not really
trying to translate sarcasm requires, like, such a nuanced translation.
Yes.
That you have to realize most of the shit that you're saying as a K-pop idol is not being translated by nuanced translators of, like, literature. It's being fan translated, and, like, the fans do their best.
But oftentimes teenagers or young adults, like...
yeah, but at the same time, they might not have the correct words, or, like, there's so much cultural knowledge that's necessary for word choices.
Exactly.
Especially with something like that, where it's like... sometimes you need to adapt the language and not directly translate it. And that's the thing with K-pop translations, that most of the time, they're direct translations. And for the most part, it works because this is people talking and you can understand what they're saying, basically. But for something like sarcasm, you need a little more.
Yeah, you need to know context, you need to know, like, inflections, you need to know, like, clearly there's usually cues that you could tell that someone's joking. You can't get that through text for the most part. Or sometimes even speaking is hard for people to tell if they're not aware of stuff like that, so. Yeah.
Yep. So then in 2020, June, he calls out JYP Entertainment on Twitter for not promoting his activities well enough, and then immediately goes on to apologize
again,
for that.
Jay, you couldn't message your CEO.
Like, you had to go directly to Twitter to voice your complaints about it first, as if that was going to make it better.
He just had a scandal in which he said that JYP was a great man.
Yeah, and then he's going to immediately complain.
He's great. No, he's a piece of shit. It's like, what is it?
Yep.
And it was so because it's like, I think this is around the time that Even of Day was promoting, so I think he was upset they were promoting their stuff more than his, which it was like, Jay at the time, Jay's activities are like going on podcasts.
And he's just like a guest. He's not like the person writing the podcast. Like, bro.
When I am shocked Jay never had a podcast.
I'm kind of surprised too.
Honestly.
But also, because of so many of these scandals, I can almost understand why he doesn't have a podcast.
Like, the most he got was being on After School Club in Arirang. On Arirang, like, then that's it. And that's the English language Korean, channel, so.
Yep. So in March of 2021, he was essentially forced to quit Twitch streaming due to a joke he made about oral sex and having a sugar daddy. Which is, like, it's a bad comment, but in in terms of, like, it's just a thing it's like a Twitch streamer would say. Like, it's not, like, terrible. Like, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
And then what makes it bad is the statement he wrote about it, which says, honestly, for me, it's just something I did with my friend. Maybe this is a cultural difference, but I will refrain from commenting on it. I think that it's really because of a big cultural difference. Whenever I speak in English, the direct Korean translations often are made to be problematic numerous times. If you choose to mistranslate what I say purposely and try to create problems from it, you might want to stop watching my streams for your own betterment. So this is just not an apology at all.
Yeah, no.
It's just a blatant, like, blaming of, like, cultural difference, and then let's, like, whatever. Like, just, like, continuing
Oh yeah, it's a cultural
to just
difference.
make it everybody's
Yeah.
problem except for himself.
I'm not
being
the one at
problem.
fault.
What?
It's you guys who are the problem.
It's your
Yeah,
fault.
It's your fault.
You're
God.
upset because of things I'm doing, then just don't watch my things anymore.
I mean, granted,
About
I
it.
would suggest that too for a lot of people, but
Yeah.
still, you can behave better too as well, dude. Like,
Oh, yeah.
come on.
And it's like, it's so bad.
Yeah.
This next one happens in November of 2021. This is literally a month before he leaves Day 6. He went on a podcast interview with Offline TV on November 26th as a Thanksgiving special. He spoke about some toxic social media, his time in LA, and how things have really worked in the K-pop industry in terms of age and language bias and cliques that formed around all of those categories. He spoke lightheartedly but with evident sarcasm. Off the bat, he spoke about how K-pop was manufactured and artists were brainwashed. While then talking about his gig at HITC, he spoke about how a friend was complimenting Day 6 and said that they were authentic, but Jay broke off to claim that they were not. He also went on to beg other companies to sponsor him so he could make enough money to produce his own solo music while still clearly being in Day 6 and JYP Entertainment at this time.
The man is truly losing it, I think.
It's
Clearly. He's
it's
chaotic
so
evil, I feel like,
obnoxious.
at this point.
He really is.
He is.
Because
It's
he's
just-
trying to maintain all of his fans that he's gotten as a K-pop idol because that's literally all he has
All
ever
he
had,
has.
but also trying to not acknowledge the fact that he was ever a K-pop idol and
I mean,
distance himself
granted,
from
he
it
was in
as
a
much
He
as he
wants
band,
to-
so, like, it's a little bit of a different scenario from, like, your traditional K-pop idol group, but
But he was
still,
also in JYP Entertainment.
Still, yeah.
Like,
yeah. He wasn't in a no-name indie company. He was in JYP Entertainment.
Yeah.
And, like, Day 6 was, like, a pretty idol-y band. to
And, like,
begin
one of the
with.
more better known and popular idol bands, too.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
And it's like you cannot both want to keep all the like your entire like K-pop fan base because it's the only thing that makes you relevant
You
as
have.
a person at all, while
Yeah.
also trying to completely disregard everything that made you famous in the first place. Like you can't have both of those things simultaneously.
on top of that, he's bringing up stuff to talk about that's, like, been talked about to death in K-pop, about
I know,
K-pop.
and it's like he doesn't have anything.
On top
new
of that,
to
it's
add
like,
about
oh,
the
you guys,
K-pop
we're not
industry.
that authentic. It's like, well, you're gonna have a front on either way. I don't know what group
And yeah, at that
dynamics
point,
between...
he's just like dissing his
Yeah.
entire group. At that point, he's like, "No, we actually suck." Like, well, that's just an insult to to all of the other members of your group as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, it's just everything. Like, literally every time he like opens his mouth, he like does not think about the consequences of anything he says.
He acts like a 15-year-old teenager when he's, like, about almost 30 years
30?
Yeah,
old.
we brought up
He's
the comparison. Jay
almost 30.
Park is 35 years old, and Jay Park as like a 17-year-old teenage, 18, 19-year-old teenager is more mature than Jay of Day 6 is at 30 years old.
100%.
I know, it's insane. It's insane. And then this goes back to JYP's thing about him liking rebellious children.
Yeah.
Because
Sometimes you
this
get
is another instance of this, but it's
Yeah.
gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, it's like...
sometimes you get J Park.
I think
Yeah.
Jay Park wants to
Sometimes
be,
you
like,
get
a
Jay.
helper in terms of, like, these kids'
Oh,
lives, but, like,
absolutely.
you can't help everyone. They have to put in the effort to want to fix themselves.
Because
Clearly, Jay Park did that,
Jay
but...
Park clearly
yeah.
went through an entire like personal transformation, like as his time as
Yeah.
a trainee and in 2PM. Jay of Day 6 got famous and then realized at some point in time that he didn't like being a K-pop idol but wanted to maintain all of his fame that he got from being a K-pop idol. And then just decided he wanted to start acting out and dissing his company and his other members and the entire industry that gave him his popularity in the first place. Like, sometimes you get Jay Park and sometimes you get Jay of Day 6.
Yeah.
You can't fix them all or help encourage them all to do what they
No.
want to do. They have to put in the effort
And the
themselves
thing
to change.
with Jay is
Yeah.
that Jay weirdly, there is so many things here where Jae is upset that he didn't get more opportunities. One, Jae seems difficult to work with.
He always
in
has
terms
seemed
of just
that way.
physically, like, having to give him a task and have him complete that task and take direction, especially with things that idols do, like either if
I don't
you
even
were
want to
get
imagine
a
how well he
podcast,
did in school or
get
not.
a radio show. I'm not even say being an actor, just like the little thing, present a show like that. He did idol after school club for a little bit, which was fine, but like for the most
For quite
part,
a while he was a part
for
of
quite a
after
bit.
school. Yeah.
and a lot of that was good, and he was fine with that. But then as Day6 grew more popular, he kind of started to rebel there a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one of those situations where you look at this and you're like, huh. If you are difficult to work with, then people aren't gonna want to work with you.
Absolutely
and
not.
You will get, no matter how talented you are, and this is just something of everything in your life. If you are difficult to work with, no matter how talented or good at something you are, people don't want to work with you.
Yeah, and
You
they're
have
just,
to
like,
be a
pain
team
in the
player
ass
in
to
certain
work with.
You have to be a team
You have
player,
to
and you
be.
have to respect the people around you.
Because
Yes.
I feel like he was definitely, especially once he started Twitch streaming and started getting like sort of like ego problems, I think he was definitely like having conflicts with JYP management and also
yeah.
probably JYP the man himself.
yeah.
Like I can just imagine that probably happened.
Wow. It's just... And then the other thing is that they're like, oh, well, he's like, JYP doesn't promote my stuff. I'm like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do that should be promoted like that? Like, you're not
Like
making
maybe
music, and
you
JYP
were
is a music
featured on a
label.
single with someone in DPR.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's just one
yeah.
single.
Get
dude.
on a single. Like,
And
they
it's like it's
promote
not at the same as an entire subunit of your band, like making it a whole comeback. Like it's different.
making a whole ass debut.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Not just
And it's
that,
like
but
I don't love taking the side of like the companies and things like this where like idols
No.
clearly have such big problems, and he is so clearly such a problem
in
by
the
himself.
wrong
Yeah.
as well.
That it's like I can't take your side. Like you are just an asshole to everyone around you. Like that's just it's awful.
Like maybe
Like,
if
it
you
makes
weren't
me
such an
so
asshole,
mad.
maybe I would have some more sympathy for you.
Right,
How about that?
right. Like
Here's
maybe
the
I would
other
actually
thing.
pay attention to you and your actual complaints about the K-pop industry if you weren't going about it in literally the worst way imaginable.
It's not like there
Yeah.
isn't any complaints about the K-pop industry. There's a lot.
There
But, like,
always are. There
There-
always
but
have
that's the
been.
case with
reviews.
any entertainment industry anywhere in the
Exactly.
world. Pick and choose one. A lot of them have the same
Look,
fucking issues.
exactly.
Like,
We've been doing company reviews at this point. What we've done six
Yeah,
companies,
6 or something, yeah.
six
Yeah.
or something companies. JYP is coming very soon.
Who?
There will be a lot of complaints and there will be a lot of issues with JYP. There will be many. However, his handling of a lot of situations isn't terrible. And two, I think that in terms of a K-pop idol company, in terms of all of that, there is always complaints to be had. However, in this, I think that you gotta look at everything on a case-by-case scenario, and with what this thing that keeps coming up, nuance, and, like, looking at it for what it is and not for what you want it to be. Jae, I think, wanted to come to Korea. He's American. He wanted to be a star. And he kind of was, but he got put in an idol band, which obviously, I think you can obviously see that he might be a little thing about, like, the groups and, like, they're more popular. I'm like, of course they're more popular. You're in a band.
Yep.
it's like
And
having,
Jae has
Jay, have you ever heard the
famously said-
Beatles? Look at how far that got them. Like,
And it was also JYP Entertainment's like first like actual like real band
Yeah,
too.
but, like, when
True.
you compare,
Yeah.
say, even, like, Day6 to, like, GOT7, obviously Day6 was not as popular. I think any company that has bands, like, the band is obviously not going to be as popular as the idol group. Look at FNC's history.
also just because I think rock bands in general, or just any band in general, at this point, is not at its peak of popularity. We
It's
kind of
not as
skipped
a-
that decades
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To be honest with
yeah.
you, hopefully,
And,
I would
like,
hope
he-
it's going to make a comeback at some point.
Maybe, but who's
yeah.
to... But, like, generally speaking, I think he wanted to come in, be a star. I'm in JYP. I'm gonna be big.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And Day6 is big for a band.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
But
I
they
don't
were
know
not
if
big
he
in the
ever
way I
got
think
that.
maybe he was expecting, and then realized,
No.
what if I
Which
just
is
became a
weird,
Twitch
because
streamer
this
instead?
Isn't like, because this isn't like the boys of, I don't want to bring them up, but this is just as an example, Extraordinary Heroes. Many of them were training to be idols. Jay famously cannot dance. So I don't know where he thought he was gonna go with his idol career.
Yeah.
And like he
Considering
was on
he cannot
K-pop
dance.
Star as like a
Yeah.
singer-songwriter too. And I
Exactly.
think he was always training to be in a band specifically.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
exactly.
The expectations are like
It honestly feels like, I don't know, like kind of like an entitlement or something. That because
Very.
he
Yeah.
was there and he was in JYP, he felt entitled to like a larger popularity than what he actually got. So,
yeah,
but anyway,
it's a lot.
he sucks. We will
He's-
talk about him again.
Yeah.
next
There's
year.
more. The worst situation has yet
The
to
worst
come.
situation we will talk about.
It is
later.
juicy. That situation is juicy as hell.
Very,
It's very
juicy,
juicy.
because he also messed with a person who was not gonna.
He
just
messed
sit
with the
there and,
wrong
like,
fucking person, and
deal
he
with
knows
his
he did.
garbage,
Messed with the
yeah.
wrong fucking person on that scenario.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Because she don't take no shit. If there's any K-pop or former K-pop idol, because
There's
now she's
many
more like an
K-pop
R&B
idols that
artist,
don't
but
take
there's
shit.
anyone who doesn't
But she
take
was not
shit,
gonna
it's
take
her.
his garbage.
She was not
yeah.
gonna
She-
take it,
yeah,
and she
especially
shouldn't
her.
have. I don't think anybody should have.
No.
Because now you have him going on places talking about, and we mentioned this before, so I want to put it in here so there's on record. Jay seems like the Liam Payne of K-pop.
Yeah.
Where at this point, he's going to get desperate for fame, and he's gonna start talking about people that he has no business talking
Because
about.
that's what it worked
He's
for
gonna start
certain
talking
celebrities in the
about-
past in the States.
It
Let's
has,
be
yep.
honest.
Yep.
And seems like that kind of person.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that wraps up tier 7 of the Scandal Iceberg. Round 2, I guess. Whoop whoop.
Yay.
What
Hey,
to
we
do?
cut a good, solid, what?
We did
30
cut down on
minutes.
the
Almost
tangents,
half
which is
hour.
honestly for the better of the episode. So
I know. That episode was long. We
Meanwhile,
also
the
went on a
next
lot
one
of
will
tangents.
be.
Yeah, well,
Tangent
we'll be back to full-formed rambling on tier 8, so don't worry
the
about
next one
that.
has one of our longest scripts I think we've
Tier
ever
8
had.
has got a long-ass script because one of the scandals is like 3 pages long, but it's fine.
All right, this is gonna be
So
a
it'll be fine.
party.
All right, so we are available on all major podcasting platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We also have a YouTube channel where we post all of our episodes along with extra fun clip videos occasionally as well. And with that, we will see you in the next episode. Bye!
Bye.
Bye.